Day 21. And this war just entered a phase that will affect every person on the planet. Iran has bombed Qatar's Ras Laffan, the world's largest liquefied natural gas terminal. 20% of global LNG supply is now offline. Qatar has expelled all Iranian military diplomats. President Trump has threatened to, quote, massively blow up Iran's South Pars gas field. Israel struck Iran's Caspian Sea naval assets, the first ever strikes in that body of water. Oil is at $110 a barrel and climbing. Trump's own counterterrorism director resigned and called this war a product of Israel lobby pressure, not Iranian threat. And the UN nuclear chief warned that this war cannot eliminate Iran's nuclear program. Day 21 is the day the energy war went global, and there is no off-ramp in sight. Subscribe and hit the notification bell right now. Iran bombed the world's largest gas terminal today. Oil is at $110 a barrel. This war is no longer just a Middle East story, it is a global energy crisis. You cannot afford to miss a single update. The defining story of Day 21 is Iran's strike on Ras Laffan industrial city in Qatar. Iran fired a salvo of ballistic missiles at the complex. Qatar intercepted 4 of them. One got through. It caused what Qatar's government described as extensive damage and sparked a large fire at the facility. Ras Laffan is not just any energy site. It is the world's single largest LNG production and export hub, supplying liquefied natural gas to Japan, South Korea, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and dozens of other nations. Qatar produces approximately 20% of all the LNG consumed globally. With Ras Laffan struck and production suspended, European gas prices surged 32% in a single session. Japan activated energy emergency protocols. South Korea began drawing down strategic reserves. The ripple effects of this one strike will be felt in energy bills, industrial production, and economic growth across the entire Northern Hemisphere. Qatar's diplomatic response was the fastest and most significant of any Gulf state since this war began. The Qatari Foreign Ministry declared all Iranian military and security attaches at the Iranian embassy in Doha persona non grata, giving them 24 hours to leave the country. Qatar had previously maintained a carefully neutral position in this conflict. It hosts Al Udeid Air Base, the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East, but it had maintained diplomatic ties with Iran and had even offered to mediate. That neutral position is now gone. Qatar explicitly called the attack a flagrant violation of its sovereignty and a direct threat to its national security. The expulsion of Iranian diplomats marks the first formal diplomatic rupture between Iran and a Gulf Arab state since this war began. President Trump issued a direct threat today that marks a significant escalation in American rhetoric. Trump stated publicly that the United States will, quote, massively blow up an Iranian gas field if Iran continues striking Qatar's energy infrastructure. The field Trump is referring to is South Pars, Iran's largest natural gas reserve, which Israel had already struck earlier this week in a strike coordinated with and approved by Washington. South Pars is the economic backbone of Iran's energy sector. It supplies both export revenue and domestic gas for Iranian homes and power plants. Trump explicitly confirmed that Israel will not strike South Pars again, but that the United States itself will if Iran escalates further. This is the first time a sitting U.S. president has publicly named and threatened a specific piece of Iranian civilian energy infrastructure by name. In a development that went largely unnoticed amid the Qatar crisis, Israel opened an entirely new front in this war, striking Iranian naval targets in the Caspian Sea. This is historically unprecedented. No outside military force has ever conducted strikes on Iranian assets in the Caspian. The Caspian Sea is bordered by Russia, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, and Iran. It is geographically locked and has historically been outside the reach of Middle East conflicts. Israel's strikes targeted Iranian patrol vessels and missile-armed fast boats that Tehran has been using to threaten commercial shipping in the Caspian. Russia, which shares the Caspian with Iran, immediately summoned the Israeli ambassador to protest the strikes, calling them a violation of Caspian security agreements. The opening of the Caspian front brings this war one step closer to Russian-controlled territory. The most politically explosive story of Day 21 happened not on a battlefield but in Washington. Joe Kent, President Trump's director of the National Counterterrorism Center, resigned. And his resignation letter is detonating across the political world. Kent wrote publicly, "Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. It is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." Kent is a Green Beret combat veteran who lost his wife in a military operation in Syria. He had full access to every classified intelligence brief on Iran. He is not guessing. He is speaking from the most classified intelligence in the U.S. government. Trump called Kent weak on security and disputed his claims. But the White House produced no evidence to contradict Kent's central assertion that Iran was not an imminent threat. This resignation is the most significant insider challenge to the legal and political justification for this war since it began. The head of the United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency delivered a stark warning today that directly challenges one of the core justifications for this war. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi stated publicly that the war cannot entirely eliminate Iran's nuclear program. Grossi said that while significant nuclear infrastructure has been damaged, Iran retains the knowledge, the scientists, and the dispersed technical capacity to rebuild its nuclear program, potentially in hidden facilities that have not been struck. This assessment is significant because preventing Iranian nuclear development was cited by both the Trump administration and Israel as a primary objective of the war. If the war cannot achieve that objective even at this level of destruction, after 21 days of the most intensive American bombing campaign since 2003, then a fundamental question emerges. What is this war actually supposed to accomplish? Israel's military confirmed it struck 200 targets across western and central Iran on Wednesday, the highest single-day target count of the entire war. The targets included military infrastructure, command and control facilities, radar installations, and what Israel described as weapon storage sites. Simultaneously, Iran launched another missile salvo at Israel, with one foreign national killed by shrapnel in the Sharon region north of Tel Aviv. Israel's Iron Dome and Arrow systems intercepted the majority of the incoming projectiles, but the sheer volume of Iranian launches, despite 21 days of bombardment, continues to challenge the claim that Iran's missile capacity has been destroyed. Iran has now fired more missiles and drones at Israel in the last week than in the entire first 2 weeks of the war, suggesting Iran is deliberately accelerating its rate of fire as a strategic countermessage. The economic numbers from Day 21 tell a story of accelerating crisis. Oil reached $110 per barrel, a level not seen since 2008. European LNG futures surged 32% in a single session following the Ras Laffan attack. The US dollar weakened as energy import costs spike across the American economy. Airline fuel surcharges are being added to flights globally. Trucking and shipping costs in the United States are rising week over week. The Federal Reserve is now under pressure to raise interest rates to combat energy-driven inflation. Goldman Sachs analysts published a note today warning that if South Pars is struck by the United States, oil will reach $150 per barrel within 72 hours, a level that historically precedes global recession. The confirmed numbers from Day 21. Iran, at least 1,520 killed since February 28, more than 19,000 injured. Lebanon, 941 confirmed dead, including 115 children. Israel, 15 killed total since the war began. United States military, at least 13 confirmed killed, 8 severely injured. Qatar, no deaths in the Ras Laffan attack, but significant infrastructure damage. Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and the UAE all reported additional drone and missile interceptions overnight. Total Iranian missiles and drones fired at Israel, over 4,500. Total U.S. and Israeli air sorties against Iran, exceeding 6,000. 5 things to watch in the next 24 to 72 hours. 1. Will Iran strike Saudi Arabian or UAE energy infrastructure next? Aramco and Abu Dhabi facilities remain on high alert. 2. Will the United States actually strike South Pars following Trump's direct threat? 3. How does Russia respond to the Caspian Sea strikes? 4. Will Joe Kent's resignation trigger formal congressional hearings on the legal basis for this war? And 5. With the IAEA saying the nuclear program survives regardless, what is the actual endgame the United States is pursuing? Day 21. Iran bombed the world's largest gas terminal. Qatar expelled Iranian diplomats. Trump threatened to blow up South Pars. Israel opened a Caspian Sea front. Trump's own terrorism director resigned and called this war a product of lobby pressure. And the UN said the nuclear program survives regardless. If you are not subscribed to this channel, do it right now. Every update, every development, every breaking story, we cover it the moment it happens. Share this video. We will be back the moment news breaks. Stay safe.